Good overnight. Welcome on into From Day One. Art Bell is back. So without further ado, let's begin.
My hometown, there was this old plantation house, kind of decrepit, falling down, disrepair, way out in the middle of nowhere. You had to go down a dirt road for quite some time to get to it.
Sure.
There was a kind of a story that everybody had heard surrounding this place, that when the Sherman, I think it was, one of the northern generals was coming down, and they were freeing slaves in a lot of the plantation houses. This one family was very adamant and against the idea of having their slaves freed, and actually decided that they would kill them rather than see them freed.
Wow.
These guys, they went back there, just started slaughtering people, had them chained up to the walls and just killing them.
Oh my
a few
God.
of the people, the slaves, managed to get themselves free, get a hold of some weapons, and started just slaughtering the family.
I'll bet.
In all, I think something like 50, 55 people just murdered brutally in this one little house and the area surrounding it. And that night, and the rest of them just took off. So you can imagine the angry souls that it would be hanging around this area.
Oh, I can indeed.
So one Saturday afternoon, me and some of my buddies had a couple of beers, and we were thinking, oh, what kind of trouble can we get into? We thought we'd go and, hey, let's go look at that old house, investigate it, see what we can see.
Let's go catch us a ghost, Bubba.
Exactly, right.
All right.
So we get out there, and we're looking around the house. It's just decrepit, falling down, just in terrible disrepair. We go back out around to where the old slave quarters were, these little fallen down cabins and whatnot. We get close to this one cabin,
yes,
and apparently this, from what happened, I would assume that this is the place where all the killing happened. We walk up to it. We're about to go inside. I put my hand on the door, and that's when the noise starts.
Noise? What noise?
Screaming, banging on the walls. The whole shack started shaking like an earthquake. Completely freaked us out. Obviously, we didn't go in. We took off running. Cars were about 100 yards away. The weird thing is, the noise didn't get farther away as we were running farther away. It was like the noise was right over our heads. We were running like crazy.
Keeping up with you.
Exactly. I looked back towards the house and to the shack, and I saw big, bright red eyes looking out this window at us. Oh, man, we left about 3 inches of tire on the road getting out of there. I'm surprised we didn't run into a tree and have a wreck.
Well, you could have done that, ghost or not, but, whew.
That's as scared as I've ever been.
And, I take it you didn't go back.
Oh, no, we never went back into that area ever again. But,
well, I guess even these days, after a few beers, that'll slow you up, and you just don't suggest that kind of thing anymore.
Oh, well, yeah, we were pretty darn sober right at the time that house started shaking.
Isn't that amazing how the chemical balance of your body can change just like that?
Oh,
boom.
Yeah. Almost immediately.
Appreciate the story, sir. Thank you. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Good morning, Art. How are you this morning?
Well, okay, sort of.
My name is Jim. I'm calling from Florida.
Yes, Jim.
And I'm listening to you on the Sky.
On the Sky?
WSKY out of Gainesville.
All right, Gainesville, yes.
Yes. Golly, where to start? I wrote you a while ago, emailed you, but you were inundated with shadow people emails. I'm sure you didn't get to mine.
Thousands of them.
Yes. I listened to the show last night, and it was absolutely fascinating. And I just want to take just a second to tell you how much my wife and I absolutely love your show.
Thank you.
Huge fans.
Thank you.
Where to start?
The beginning.
Yes. Around 1979, I got involved in a haunted house project. When I say haunted house project, I'm talking a theatrical event that would happen every year in my hometown up in Vermont.
You mean they put on a play about a haunted house? Or
no, we found an old building and we put on a haunted house.
Oh.
But we didn't realize the building was already occupied.
Actually haunted.
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole thing was started by the local JCs, and they were just doing it as a fundraiser, and I got yanked in.
JCs are usually pretty nice.
Oh, yeah. Great bunch of people.
Oh, you mean the function, not the haunting.
Yeah. Right, great bunch of people were, getting involved, raise a little money for the community, and they pulled me in because they knew I was a makeup artist. And, of course, when you're doing a scary haunted house, you want someone who can do the blood and the gore and all the fun stuff like that. So I got pulled in. So I went to a meeting at this building, and I pulled up in front of this thing, and it looked like the Addams family lived there. It was an old abandoned school building. Well, not entirely abandoned. Some of the offices were still being used, but it had been built around the turn of the century, very Victorian, 2-story redstone kind of building.
All right, listen, we've got this mentally pictured. Hold on, we'll do it after the break, all right?
Okay, sure.
All right, good. Stay right there.
Feeling better 'cause I'm over you. I learned my lesson and left a scar. Now I see how you really are. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good. Baby, you're no good.
Don't touch that dial.
You're no good, you're no good, you're no good. Baby, you're no good.
Sam, thank you very much. Listen, when you think about it, what better place for hauntings to occur than the yearly haunted house in town? You know, a lot of civic organizations do it for Halloween, right? They all build a haunted house. Goes on in almost every town across America. What better place, particularly over many years, to actually have the real thing present, the real McCoy, because you'd never be able to separate them, and nobody'd ever believe a word you say, and people can't hear you scream in space. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Art.
Hi.
This is Marie in Spokane.
Hi, Marie.
Hi. My story is about a ghost that my husband and I have seen.
Both of you?
We've both seen it. The first time I saw it was when I had a daughter. She was just a few months old, and my bedroom was across the hall from hers. And I was sitting in there one night, and I looked through my open door into her open door, and in the doorway is this woman dressed in white from top to bottom, and she's kind of glowing, and she's just standing there looking at me. And I kind of looked away and looked back, and she was gone. And I'd seen her a few times after that, and I didn't know what it was. But one night I was talking to my husband, and I kind of hesitantly said that I had seen this. And he says, oh, yeah, I've seen her too. And it was just really odd, and we started calling her the White Woman. And she was dressed in white from head to toe. She kind of looked like it was maybe an old-style nurse uniform.
Right.
And when we'd see her, she'd just be standing there. I wouldn't feel like there was anything wrong going on. It was like she was protecting the baby. And even when we'd moved, and we'd moved when the baby was about a year old, she moved with us.
She moved with you.
She moved with us, and she would kind of stand guard over the baby like a...
Now, see, that's really, really interesting.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
And it was like, she was like some stern librarian, She didn't have this smile. She would just stand there like she was standing guard. I got you. And, and now my baby's almost 5, and we haven't seen this woman in a few years. But this is my youngest daughter. The same daughter, she used to look around and watch things, kind of like you're saying you have that picture on the web of the baby sitting in the swing.
Did you see that?
Something. I haven't seen it yet. I was going to look when I got done.
You understand, though, what I'm saying. That baby is obviously, you can see it in the baby's soul. It's seeing what we're seeing on film.
Yeah,
it's really freaky.
We had a similar type things with our daughter. I never really looked through pictures of her.
Well, then it's obvious what she was seeing, isn't it?
She was seeing something, and when she was about 2, we'd watched the movie Fairy Tale. We have an older daughter, and we watched it, and she saw the fairies. And after she saw that movie, when she'd look up and look around and watch things moving around, she'd say, "Fairies, fairies." And she'd point at the fairies. And she was sure she could see fairies. And we'd just say, oh, neat, neat. And she just, it was just very unusual. She's
Children.
Children are very interesting.
You do yourself a favor, and you go look at that photograph.
I will.
On page number 2 of the ghost photos, all right?
All righty.
Thank you. Take care. Yes, indeed. There's no mistake about what that child is seeing. Children's expressions are easy to read, and that one's really easy to read, and it's really easy to see that child sees what the camera has captured. First-time caller line, you're on the air. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Where are you?
Right now, actually, I'm in holidays in Western Canada.
Okay.
I'm in skiing in Banff, but I'm a twin. My parents died when my brother and I were very young. We were raised by our grandfather. We both were in Vietnam, and my brother was killed, or that was our understanding. When I was I came home, and about 2 years later, my grandfather dies. He and I were living alone in his house. The night that he dies, I'm sitting on the end of my bed, sort of contemplating life, feeling a little bit sorry for myself, and I feel someone sit down next to me.
Oh.
And put his arm around my shoulder, and it's my grandfather, and he says, "Daniel's alive."
Daniel's alive.
And Daniel's my brother.
I've got you, yes.
And I just froze. I didn't know what to think, and I sort of, the next day I had convinced myself that, I'm convincing myself that this is happening, and I tried to blow it off. That night, I was sitting in my grandfather's den on the couch, and I get a feeling, and I look over. I was just eating by myself, and I look over at the door. My grandfather's there, and he says, "Daniel's alive, and he's trapped, and you got to go get him."
And he's trapped.
He's trapped, and so this was not too far, not too long after I'd come home, and I did make some trips back, and I was assuming that I thought he was a POW somewhere.
That's what it sounded like, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'd made a couple trips. I didn't really tell people what I was doing because I didn't want to get locked up.
Clear thinking. So anyway, we don't have a lot of time. So what happened?
Okay, so then about a year and a half later, I'm down there again, and I've decided that I'm not this isn't happening. And
you mean you're back in Vietnam?
Yes.
Yes.
And that morning, the phone rings in my room. I pick it up. It's my grandfather on the phone, and he says, "He's here. He's alive." Anyway, there's short on time. He was in a Greek Orthodox mission hospital. He was alive. He wasn't shot. He'd have been in an accident of some sort, and he was in a semi-vegetated state. Anyway,
he was. In other words, he was in a coma.
Yeah.
Your brother was alive. You found him in Vietnam, and he was in a coma.
And we bring him home. After we get him out of the hospital at home, he was still. He never completely recovered, but I cared for him at home. The day we got home, and we're getting Daniel up into his room. There was a, sorry, I'm getting emotional just thinking about this. There was a mug that Daniel's made from a grandfather when we were in, I think, grade 6 or something. And it was sitting on Daniel's nightstand, and it was full of hot grape Kool-Aid. And the significance of that was that Daniel and I would drink hot. We loved it. And we used to pretend that we were drinking coffee like...
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So...
And, so that, a couple of years later, 5 years ago, Daniel died. And I was going to sell the house. I had listed it for sale, and anyway, I got a call from the realtor lady. She was a basket case.
I only got a few seconds.
Okay, and she went around the house. She couldn't open a single door in the house. They were all sealed shut. And she said that my brother had told her that the house wasn't for sale.
Well, I'll just let that one stand right where it is. But the clear implication is that somebody on the other side, if it's urgent enough, important enough, can come through in any way it must, telephone, electronically, or in person. So I guess it is possible if it's really urgent. Up the audio, the streaming audio.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently you're not having a problem.
No, it takes about, a few more seconds for it to click in, and then it's on, just like a radio.
Cool.
I mean, perfectly. I want to throw something at you real quick before I get into my story. What is it about you and your red eyes? Because I have a good story for you.
Yeah, I don't really actually want to talk about it.
Okay, well, maybe you don't want to hear my story.
No, I'll listen to your story. You go right ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, it kind of kicked off when you had Gunny on last night. And I'm sure you've probably seen and you've heard people mention the movie already, Amityville.
Oh, of course.
All right, remember the scene about the red eyes through the window?
Yes.
Okay. Out of that whole darn movie, that's the only thing that scared the you-know-what out of me. And anyhow, during my school years, going to college, I always thought there was a presence in my room and this kind of thing. And people say, well, you're just dreaming. Well, okay. But why is it when I wake up, it's always right at 3:15 in the morning? Just like in the movie. And I thought, nah, it's no big deal. Well, this went on, and like every other night, I'd always wake up right on the dot. And I had one of those illuminated clocks, 3:15 in the morning.
Yes.
Okay. Several years later, while I'm married, I had the red eyes show up. And I was about to say, waking up at 3:15 or a given time every day is not all that unusual. A lot of people do that. Right.
But not the red eyes.
Well,
how did they show up?
Well, in this case, and I mentioned Gunny because, not to go backwards here, but yeah, picture 17 and 18, I've seen those big time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, he was mentioning how sometimes things will come to you in a dream state, or at least you're real relaxed or whatnot. But I was laying in my bed, and all of a sudden it's like, wham, I'm being chased.
In bed?
I'm in a tunnel with slimy walls.
Oh, and all right, so you're suddenly out of your body.
Right, and all I see is these red eyes coming at me. And I'm running like, you know what?
Yeah, that'll keep you going.
Well, I woke up screaming and yelling. My wife thought somebody was in the house. Even the hair on the back of my neck was standing up.
Well, this is usually called a nightmare.
I know. It's supposed to be a ghost story. Guess what? I look at the clock.
3:15.
3:15.
I could have guessed.
And, maybe a month or two later, not the running or the chasing, but I'm laying in my bed, and yes, most people say, oh, you just fell asleep. Well, I'm staring at my door, and my closet door, like you were saying, you don't like your open door closets.
Right.
And I don't know if I was hallucinating, I wasn't drunk, wasn't doing drugs, but I'm going to sleep, I thought, and boom, there's the eyes, just like that.
In the closet?
coming out of the closet.
Coming out of the closet?
No silhouette, just the
red eyes coming out of the closet.
Just the darn eyes.
I'm done with you, sir. I don't want to hear any more of that. Red eyes coming out of a closet. Sorry, that's it. That's where I draw the line. I don't want to hear any more. That is, of all the nightmares that could be, that's the worst. That's something that that's just enough. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
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 I guess it's me. How are you?
Well, I was all right.
I have a ghost experience that changed my life.
Oh, well, they usually do. Go right ahead.
I took a job as a custodian at a research center in the country. And my first night, this guy, he had a DUI, so he couldn't drive. He wanted me to take him home. And I said, yeah, I would. And we wound up coming home this back way. And he said that he didn't want me to go down this certain street, for fear of ghosts or whatever.
Sure.
So I went down there anyway.
Although that's pretty unusual. I mean, if somebody isn't going to go down the street, I mean, you're on your way somewhere, and it's not usual to give anybody that reason. We're not going to go there because there might be ghosts. Come on.
Yeah, this is true. Well, I come up at the stop sign, and at the other stop sign on this street, there's an intersection, and there's a car at the stop sign, too. It's a black car.
Yes.
And it didn't signal. Then it put on its signal abruptly, and I was at the stoplight. And for some reason, I didn't go. I was supposed to go, then it was supposed to turn.
Yes.
And I got goosebumps. I started shivering, and my friend is just talking to me. He's holding a conversation because we just met each other. And I can't go. I'm stuck at the wheel, and I'm just looking at this car. And then finally, for some reason, I started inching out, and the car started inching out too. And I was just trembling, and he was talking to me. And I looked, and in this black car is this woman with this grotesque, wrinkled face just staring at me. Old woman. I mean, it just looked dead. And I looked at my friend, and I go, what an ugly woman. And he goes, what are you talking about? I go, don't you see that car right there? And he goes, I don't see anything. What are you talking about? And I just kept going. I go, do you see me trembling? And he goes, no, I don't see anything. Okay, well, this is the first night. The second night, I decided to go down there to try this again. We got on the same road, same night. It's about 3 in the morning, something like that. We're driving down.
Why would you, wait a minute, why would you possibly go back to the same place again after something that terrifying? Why would you go back?
I think it's because he told me he didn't see anything, and maybe I thought I was delusional. I don't know. But I decided to try it again.
All right.
Maybe I should be a ghost hunter. I don't know.
All right.
But anyways, the second night, same road, same everything, almost the same spot. We're driving down, and there's this house on the corner. And we're driving, and we're coming up to the same stoplight, and I start to slow down, and I look. For some reason, I look over at this house, and I look up, and it's a 2-story house, and in the second story, there's this room with a red light on. And it looks like it's radiating out the window, almost like, have you ever developed film?
Yes, I have.
They use the red light.
Yes.
You can see that light is coming out. And I just stopped, and I was like, for some reason it intrigued me, and I told my friend again, and he saw the light this time. I go, do you see that light? And he's like, yeah, I guess it's kind of unusual for someone to be developing film at 3 in the morning, huh? And he was like, yeah, I guess. And we look, and we're looking and staring, and then I see that woman's face in the window, staring back at me.
Same woman.
The same face. And I told my friend, okay, I'm not delusional. Do you see that? And he's like, no, I don't. So we get out of the car, and we go to the house, we knock on the door to make sure that I'm not crazy. And this old gentleman answers the door. I mean, we wake him up at 3 in the morning. Of course, he's mad, upset.
What the hell are you on, son?
Yeah, pretty much. And, I told him, I said, hey, we saw this red light coming out of your second-story house. We just wanted to make sure everything was okay. We didn't want to think we're crazy. And he's like, what are you talking about? And we said, upstairs, is there someone here? Or he goes, no, I live alone. I go, do you have a dark room or something? I go, no, I don't have a dark room. I go, well, what's upstairs? He's like, nothing really, just some old keepsakes or something, whatever. And we told him that there was a light on upstairs or this or that. Well, he went upstairs and he said, well, nothing's on or this or that. So we said, okay. Well, as we're walking back to the car, we look into the orchard, which is behind his house, and there's a light on in the orchard.
And I
go, let's go check it out. So we go walking over, to this light, and we keep getting farther and farther into the orchard, and then finally we come across this light.
You only got a few seconds.
Okay, so my friend goes, hey, there's a note, so he picks it up, and he puts it in his pocket, and just as he looked up, he goes, I hear something, do you? And then I said, no, so we got back in the car.
Real?
And we're taking off down the street, and I almost hit that woman with the face. And when I got home, we pulled out the note, and it said, nice to meet you.
Laughing hysterically, and all of a sudden there's not 3 of us laughing, there's 4 people laughing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we look in this guy, he's dressed just kind of like us, hiking boots, blue jeans, a down-filled jacket, but his eyes look like the eyes of an animal caught in somebody's headlights.
Yeah.
And so my buddy Paul goes,
I know the look.
Right, my buddy Paul goes, who the are you?
Yes.
And the guy continues to laugh, gets up, turns around and walks about 3 steps away and just basically disappears.
Oh, my.
And being young teenage bravado, right, we're thinking somebody's trying to pull a little trick on us, so we all jump up and we're going to go find this guy. Well, it's too dark to walk in the secluded area without flashlight.
No, wait a minute. I could take the somebody's fooling around with us part of this, except for the fact that you just said he disappeared before your eyes.
That's what we thought,
just
but
you,
then, we're
three of you now.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't smack of a high school prank.
No, it doesn't, and that's what happened was, after a few minutes, we kind of came back to the fire, and the longer we sat there, the scareder we got.
Yeah.
And pretty soon it was, we think we better move our camp.
Right.
And so we did. We actually got up that night and moved closer to where we knew there were some other people, because the longer we sat there, the more freaked out we were. But I just wanted to throw that in because none of us said, in the name of Jesus, go away. It was basically, who the are you? And whoever he was turned around and walked away.
Well, maybe you spoke the language you knew.
Well, that's true. Maybe a drowned camper would understand that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
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 Hi, Art. How are you?
Oh, progressively going downhill here lately.
Well,
I'm hanging in there. How are you doing?
Well, actually, what I'm about to tell you actually goes back about 10 or 15 years when I was in the canal zone.
Oh, really? Panama Canal, yes.
Yeah. And my sister and I, she lived in Gamboa. She had a Ouija board. And, this is going to get strange. But we kind of got to playing around. It's the first and the last time I ever played with one of those things. And we contacted a spirit, if you will, and asked where it was from, and it spelt out Culebra, which is the town of Culebra during the construction days. And my sister asked it to make, if it could make a present, and it said yes.
When you're doing all this on a Ouija board and you're getting that much information back, and it's beginning to be contemporary, a town you know, at this point, how are you accounting for what you're doing?
Well, I'm really not sure, man. This was, like I said, the first and last time we ever played with anything like this. Okay. Anyway, she asked if it could make a presence, and it said yes, and it spelt out clock, CLOCK, and then it went to buy.
Spelled it out on
literally
the Ouija.
Spelled out clock
on the Ouija board.
It literally.
And then
went to buy. It left.
Yeah.
My sister had about 6 cats at the time, and about 3 minutes after it went by, the cats were running wild in the house, and just, one of them went behind the refrigerator.
Yep.
And she had a clock that was made out of some exotic wood cut out of Panama, of the shape of Panama, and the clock, we had noticed, had turned at a 45-degree angle. Now, after that incident, we never, ever, ever brought out that Ouija board again.
Well, you're lucky that what obviously decided to interact with you didn't decide to stay and or cross over.
Well, it's just kind of funny. We're talking about construction day era, And it just kind of freaked us out a little bit because, I mean, you don't just see clocks like turning on walls and things like that. And we didn't physically see it turn. We just happened to notice later on, within about 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, sure. It's pretty specific. If it says clock and then the clock is physically turned, that'd be enough. That'd be more than enough for me, especially after all that spelling.
Well, it scared the hell out of me, dude.
All right, thank you. Take care. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hi, this is Denise from Iowa.
Iowa, yes.
And when I was 17, I was in my bed sleeping, and I woke up and I saw a spirit looking down on me.
What kind of spirit?
Well, I'll describe him for you. I saw him. He had a black hat on. He was blonde hair, white, and he had a red shirt and black jeans on. And I could see through him, but not. I could totally see him.
Was he actually hovering above you, standing in front of you, sitting?
He was standing over me.
Over you?
Yeah, he was looking. Just look down. Just put your head down. Look, and then he walked through my window.
Walked through your window?
Yeah.
As in leaving?
And then I jumped up and I looked out in my window and nobody was there.
A lot of people would find it amazing that you would jump up and look out your window.
He looked so real to me, so it's like, wait a minute.
I mean, I just can't believe in modern day when we all know that if you go up to a door or a window where something like that has happened, a hand is going to grab you and drag you through the glass until there's nothing left of you but a shred when you go up to the window like that. So I just can't believe in this modern day you would actually go up to the window.
Well, my bed was right next to the window, so I just looked over at my window.
Okay. I appreciate your story.
Thanks.
Thank you. Wildcard line, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, this happened about summer of '97.
It's going to have to be a real fast one because our program is ending.
Okay. I lived in the town of all towns in Pahrump about that time.
Pahrump. Oh,
yeah.
Great. Oh.
Yeah.
Great. Let's end it this way. All right.
And I was living with a girlfriend of mine at the time, and this one house is a single wide with attachments made on it and everything. And every once in a while, her 4-year-old daughter at the time would come up and say, "There's a man in my closet." I go back there and look, nothing there.
Closet.
And then every time I'd hear voices standing by the front door, or somebody'd hear voices standing in the back room, and we go outside, nothing. Dark, and can't see anything. Get a flashlight, don't see nothing.
Right.
I'd call her on the phone when I was out on the road. And she'd say, "Hold on a minute, somebody's in the bathroom." And then she'd say, "I just heard a toilet flush. I'm the only one in the house." Because her kids would be over at her mom's at the time or something. Or then the weird things like that would happen all the time. And we parked one night about a block away from the house, and we just watched the house, and we just saw shadows moving inside the house. Or you could see the lights from the next door neighbor shining through the windows, and you just see shadows roaming back and forth across the house. And it was like, ooh. Needless to say, we didn't stay there very long. We ended up moving to another house across town.
Let me tell you something. There are haunted houses. I really haven't said this before, but there are haunted houses here in Pahrump, Nevada. In fact, there are references to them on the World Wide Web.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right here, of course. Doesn't it figure right in my own little town?
Of course.
I mean, why not? It seems to happen everywhere else, so it might as well be here in my own hometown. And here you are, my final caller with a haunting in Pahrump.
Yeah, and that's the only one I knew about. I lived there for about 6 years, and that's the only one I knew about happening in there.
Well, you're obviously out on the road now, right?
Well, I moved back to Nebraska. I just got off the truck, and I'm headed home now.
So you're really on the last leg of your trip.
Right, yeah.
How does it feel to be back in a little car after being in the truck all that time?
Oh, kind of different. I've been doing it for so long. I used to have a mail Jeep back there in Nevada, and going from a big vehicle to a small one with the steering wheel on the wrong side was all kinds of fun.
Good night, my friend.
Good night to you.
I think that'll do it for the week, for the night, maybe for this lifetime. From the high desert, I'm Art Bell. Ta-ta.
And with that, thank you, Art Bell, for returning to From Day One's airwaves for the night. And with that, we will conclude today's broadcast. Please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. Be kind to one another. And release the Krakens as we march along this night and every night here from Day One. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.